Hi everyone and welcome back to another tutorial by VKBP Tutorials powered by ABF. Today we're going to talk about remixes. I am really excited to show you an upcoming remix of mine, which I made for the artist Głós, who is a good friend of mine. It's been special in many ways, both the fact that it's my first official remix, but also I'll just let you know while we're having a look at it, because it was a very intense process of breaking creative boundaries, and that's what I love doing the most. So let's just dive straight into it. This remix is a bit special because when my friend Chris, his artist name is Głós, sent me the tracks for his album and asked me for this remix, I got stuck for 2 tracks. And I also kind of heard how they could marry together, so I suggested to him that I would do a mashup remix of both of the tracks. So let's have a little listen to the originals first. Yeah, you get the vibe, and here comes the second track. Those of you who know my music understand why I got caught by these tracks, like Fraught by Gravity and Over Lifelike in some senses. When I started approaching this project, first of all, I just went through all the stems and created a color palette for the painting that I wanted to make. So I took the samples and stems that I felt most intriguing and sorted them into different categories. So we have a kick category, we have hats, shakes, FX noise, and synths. I'll just quickly play through them so you can hear what types of sounds that I chose. When I have this color palette, I started thinking a little bit more about my vision for the track, what I wanted it to be, how I wanted it to be me and still portray what Chris was doing and how I could honor that in the best way possible. And I think that it's best for us to have a little listen to the track as it is first, and then I'll talk a bit about my vision and how I approached executing it. The track consists of mainly 2 different sections that vary in genre and in tempo. In order for you to get the entire vibe, I will jump around a little bit, also because I don't want to spoil the entire track just now. So let's start with the intro. then it starts off in a quite traditional techno manner. But what happens next? That's enough. So most of the sounds that you're hearing here are actually sounds that come from the original tracks, but there was one thing which I had a bit of a problem with. So there's in one of these tracks a really beautiful vocal, and since I am a singer myself, I felt it a bit weird to be using someone else's vocal. I don't know, maybe that's just in my brain, but I decided to dismantle the harmonic progression of that vocal and create something new from that in the same key. But the rest of the sounds are from Chris's tracks, you can see here. And also in the highs, most of the sounds are from his tracks too. All in all, for me, the process, this like puzzling process of making this remix consisted of mainly two parts, one of which was identifying which sounds that I felt like I could bring into my artist universe and shape in the way that that would portray what my sound is like, but also to identify the vibe, the emotion, and the underlying feeling of the original tracks and do my own interpretation of it. When it comes to remixes, it can be a little bit different. Like either you get a remix that is like very authentic to the original, you can hear where it comes from, or you get a remix that is just like something totally different. But my aim for this one was like, since also it's a mashup remix, I want people to hear both of Chris's tracks and my track at the same time. Normally when I go into the studio, I am not that planned or calculating at all. I just go in with a feeling and exit when it's been expressed properly. But making a remix requires some more calculation, which at first made me a little bit nervous. but choosing to approach that kind of calculating mindset with curiosity turned out to be successful, and to me, to get an experience which I learned a lot from. So unlike my usual approach, I knew already in advance what I wanted to create. I wanted to make a track including 2 genres and 2 different BPMs presented separately and then married together. And as for the transition between genres and BPMs, I actually used an actual calculator to make it blend together. The techno part of the track starts in 135 BPM and uses all of the tropes like a 4 on the floor kick with occasional doubles and a hi-hat in backbeat, etc., etc. For the B section, however, I just took 135 BPM times 1.33, which is 179.55, knowing that when those 2 parts would intersect, they would work together rhythmically in this polyrhythmic manner, where one of them would be perceived as a 4/4 and the other one would be perceived in more of like a waltz kind of manner. And I did this before in a transition track from techno to bass music, but back then I couldn't find a way to take the BPM down at the end again without losing momentum. So that track just went from A to B. In this one, however, I needed to find a way to arrive back to that 135 BPM and still keep that energy, even boost it for the last section. So introducing additional synths and harmonies, which I did, wasn't enough. But if I already in the beginning introduced as many build-ups as possible, just to pull back again and again and again before reaching the ultimate climax after the 5th build-up or so, would keep the momentum and energy even when we arrive back to the lower BPM again. I thought I'd show you the build-ups. The first one is obvious, it's the intro. Regular beats, introducing synthesizers and introducing some effects. Back down in energy again. Then we start building again in this section. And down again. And then building again. So this is the 3rd, right? And back down in energy again. And each of these build-ups, each of these we're almost at climax, they can't, they have to be more intense each time. So here comes the next. Back down again, and then fifth build. Back down again. And then for the last section, which is the actual climax. Wrapping this video up, I thought that I would do a quick recap of what we've been talking about, essentials of creating a remix. Step 1, what do you want to keep, which sounds, which essence, and how do you make it yours? Then consider what you want to add in contribution to the final product. Also, a really good thing that I didn't mention before is to ask the original artist why they chose you. Like, what part of you is it that they want to see in this reinterpretation? And then, last but not least, don't be afraid of planning and calculating. Maybe you'll learn something new which you can bring back to your own productions. I hope you're feeling inspired to go do some remixes. And since this was my first official remix that I ever did, I can tell you this brought a lot back to my own game, both in the terms of like creative and technical aspects. So take care now and allow yourselves to be the people you were meant to be. I am looking forward to making the last tutorial for this project, which will be a bit more personal. I posted this questionnaire on Instagram a few weeks ago where I asked you to give me your questions that you would like to have answered in relation to creative processes and empowerment. And it's not there anymore because it was an Instagram story. But if you are watching this now and think of something that you'd like to ask, just reach out to me on whatever platform. Just search for Linn Elisabet and you'll find me. Yes. Okay. Take care now. Stay safe. Wash your hands. I love you all. Bye.